Look, I know it's been 2 weeks, and I know in the reaction vid that I said, breakdown video definitely coming. Get ready for that. And I didn't actually do it. Well, I started it, but I never finished it. And I just never uploaded it. And then Separate Tides came out. Well, I didn't upload that either. But look, now it's Owl House Saturday again. So Escaping Expulsion is the newest episode. And I'm actually going to break it down this time. I'm not going to just leave you guys in the dark. That's my beat. But don't forget to subscribe and turn on the bell so you never miss an Owl House breakdown from me. And let's get right into it. The episode starts out with a watch how the Blight Industries will cloak people walking inside wearing cloaks. The sign says that Blight Industries is a subsidiary of the Abomination Coven, and that means that they're a smaller company that works for a leader of the Abomination Coven. I assume people are wearing cloaks because there's a giant private sale banner hanging above the door, which probably isn't the best way to privately sell things, but hey, I'm no salesman. The product showcase starts when Adalia and Alador's full designs are revealed. I'd like to add that Alador's design and demeanor both threw me off, considering that the only read we got on his character was a flashback that made him seem like the complete opposite of how he's portrayed now. Adalia says Blight Industries specializes in home security abominations show off. The best work, the Bomaton soldier. Amity is helping on stage, and her mother is talking to her through her necklace, telling her that if she does well, they'll forgive her for slacking at school. This basically told me that Adalia is steering the ship and Alador is just going along with it. This woman made Amity end her friendship with Willow that caused a lot of backlash and tension. Dye her hair because she didn't match with the twins, and later in the episode expel her friends from school. Woof. Amity is pretending to be weak so that more people are going to want to buy the Abomatrons, and it's working until the picture from the end of Enchanting Gromfright falls out of her sleeve. Probably not the best place to put the picture, but hey, her pants probably don't have pockets. Amity destroys the Abomatron with ease, and Adalia gets pissed at Amity for losing money before she notices the picture. After the intro, Luz is teaching Ida and Lilith about Glyph Magic. We find out Lilith is basically a teacher's pet, and that Ida, in Ida fashion, isn't paying attention at all. Lilith asks Luz if they're going to learn a new glyph, and Luz says that the glyph she has came from nature or another witch's spell, and that she has no idea where to find more. So instead of teaching the sisters about new glyphs, she wants to teach them how to alter glyphs to get them to do specific things by making glyph combinations. Ida's already a step ahead by trying to use all kinds of combos never seen before and bombs it. Luz leaves for school and Ida wants to do more experimenting, but Lilith says they should stick to memorization, repetition, and following the rules, which Ida wants no part of and runs off. Meanwhile, Luz returns to school for the first time after the petrification ceremony and has a dope reunion with Willow and Gus. Also, Gus's voice got deep, mostly because of his voice actors, and I think it's dope that they aged the design up and explaining it through witch puberty. Amity, being the loving girlfriend she is, baked Luz a homemade fairy pie with the fairies still alive. I don't know if that's how it's supposed to look, but maybe it's just Amity can't cook. I think I'll go with the latter. Right when it seems like things are finally going to go back to normal, the loudspeaker goes off with Adalia barging in and calling Luz, Gus, and Willow to the principal's office. She basically just names off all the chaos the three caused back in Season 1 and blames them for the reason Amity is behind on her studies. Then Alador says they're to be expelled, and then Luz calls for Amity to vouch for them. She's too afraid of her parents, well, specifically her mother, watches the three get forced to leave Hexside. I almost forgot to mention that Principal Bump says that there's nothing he can do, which made me wonder why. Well, it turns out that Principal Bump is also a part of the Abomination Coven, which could mean that him objecting to the Blights could get him fired, maybe demoted. I don't know for sure, but it definitely seems like the Blights have some authority over him. As the Blights are leaving Hexside, Luz calls them out for what they did, saying there was no point in expelling them because they're still going to be friends with Amity. Adalia understands her point and hands her a business card saying they should talk. Willow and Gus reject her idea and say they'll come convince Bump themselves. But back at the Owl House, Ida's still experimenting experimenting with glyph combos and is still failing. Meanwhile, outside, Lilith is flexing her ice glyphs by decorating her best friend Hootie. Honestly, I didn't expect myself to like this pairing, mostly because I can't stand Hootie. This has been a joy to watch, so good job on the crew for making me remotely interested in Hootie at all. Back in Hex side, the trio of Luz, Willow, and Gus attempt to convince Bump to let them back into Hex side. Bump clearly didn't want to expel them, as every time he counters their attempt, he gets more and more emotional. After the third attempt fails, Willow and Gus's parents find out they've been expelled, take them away to ground them. Luz runs into Amity, who has way more books than usual, and asks her to help again, and once again, Amity is too afraid to stand up to her parents. Luz picks up Aldalia's business card, and it cuts back to the Owl House. Ida decides to stack all the glyphs on top of each other to create a mega spell, and it seems to work at first, till it starts to get bigger and bigger and absorbs everything in the house. Luz shows up to the Blight Manor to ask Adalia about getting her and her friends back into Hexside. Inside the manor, I noticed the family picture and how Amity is the only one who looks miserable. Well, aside from Alador, but that's probably because he would rather be doing something else. Luz heads into the basement where Alador is working on a new abomination while Adalia is giving him moral support, emotional support. She's just telling him he's doing a good job. Adalia blackmails, and I say that loosely because Luz wasn't falling for any of it and just agreed to be a test subject for the abominations they were going to sell. And when he gets home and finds out Luz agreed to the test the new abominations for her parents. We then find Willow in her room where her dads, yes dads, walk into the room. Seeing all these LGBTQ plus reps in this show makes me wonder how hard Dana fought to make all this happen. Since according to Alex Hirsch, the executives at Disney TV tell a lot of creative to revise their LGBTQ plus characters. So it's great to see that whatever she's doing is working. They talk about how they quit their jobs to homeschool her, and then one of her dads holds up a book with Hopadiah Planter from Amphibia front and center on the cover. Then one of Gus's illusions tells Willow to look outside, where Amity tells her Luz is in trouble. I also love that Gus says again in a sassy manner because even he knows it's clockwork at this point. I also like that one of her dads came in and saw the Gus illusion but let it slide. I'm gonna assume he's the cool dad. Outside Blight Industries, Amity, Willow, and Gus are arguing about how they're gonna save Luz, which when Ed and M hand them the green cloaks and tell them to just walk in and not to tell their mom. So I guess they're also afraid of her too. The twins try and prank them as well in typical twins fashion, placing Hex Me signs on their backs, but Amity shuts that down immediately. Once they get inside, we see Luz all worn out, dealing with abominations, and it looks like the one with the crossbow is enough to deal her in. At least before Dahlia stops it to show off their greatest creation, the Abomatron 2.0. It says it won't stop until its target is obliterated. Seeing how dangerous it is, Amity runs off and leaves Willow and Gus behind, and they get caught. Luz tells Adalia that they made their point on how strong the Abomatron is and that they can call it off now, which even Alador agrees with. But Adalia insists that the abomination should destroy Luz. I don't like this woman. All the suffering she put Amity through, and is trying to kill a 15-year-old because she's friends with Amity, and after the episode, she doesn't show any signs of change either, so she definitely doesn't feel bad. Luz does her best to put the Abomatron down, but she's too tired and is too strong, she just can't do it. Once again, Amity, being the loving girlfriend that she is, comes in to save Luz before the Abomatron lands the finishing blow. We're back at the Owl House, where Lilith is enjoying her Glyph Magic when she hears the sounds from the mega spell Ida made inside and offers to help. Ida downplays the situation and says she's fine until the spell absorbs King, and Ida calls her in and says she should have stuck with the basics. Lilith says she actually wants to experiment herself, and Hootie starts to gas her up. Again, this pairing is money. Back at Blight Industries, Amity asks Luz if she's okay, and Luz blushes. This is the first time, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, where Luz shows off, like, any romantic interest in Amity. Any other time, it seems like she was completely oblivious to it. Maybe it's because Amity came in all cool and she finally realized she might like her, but I don't know. I'm just speculating. Also, can we talk about how far Amity's come since her first appearance and to this scene of her standing up to her mother? It was so good. All the years of torment she caused her, she finally bought back, and it even made her father proud. She tells Adalia that if she doesn't let her friends back in the Hexside, she'll tear apart the Abomatron piece by piece in front of everybody. Adalia agrees in frustration, and Luz and Amity take a dive so the Abomatron looks good, making the unit's ordered meter hit max capacity. Dahlia tries to take back what she said, and Alador calls her out on it, saying a blight always keeps their end of a deal. He also tells her how strong she's gotten and how she could possibly become a leader strong. Back at the Owl House, the sisters seem to have stopped the Mega Spell, which then leads to a great explanation on how glyphs and glyph combos operate. Unlike spells, glyphs don't actually contain magic, but command magic using the environment around them, like words, in a way. Either placing 3 glyphs on top of each other was the equivalent of putting 3 words on top of each other, which would look like a mess, so the spell couldn't properly mix the magic together, causing the spell to go haywire. Instead, they should space the symbols out to replicate an actual sentence. This show has always been great at explaining how magic in the Boiling Isles works, and they didn't miss here either. King says that there's so many different combos you can do with the 4 symbols Luz has. Maybe there aren't any other glyphs to be found. Luz gets home and wants to sleep before Lilith and Ida ask for extra credit. I wonder if keeping up with appearances will touch on Lilith's dire need to be validated by authority. At the end of the episode, we get some Golden Guard action. He shows up to Blight Industries to tell Odalia and Alador that Emperor Belos will be buying all of the Abomaton 2.0 models instead of the citizens, and will be funding all the research made to make them even more powerful. Odalia says she's honored, but she has a nervous look on her face, so I guess Belos intimidates people like her too. Golden Guard says that she should feel honored and that Belos doesn't take kindly to private sales before walking off. Like last week, this was a really good episode, and I really can't wait for more, honestly. I'd like to thank you for making it to the end of the video, if you actually stayed. If you enjoyed, please give a like and comment down below your favorite part of the video. And while you're here, please subscribe too, so you never miss another one of these breakdowns. It really helps out the channel. Almost 90% of you aren't subscribed, and it'd be really dope if you were. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.